Temporary power will leave you just as dead as permanent power. Now that's pretty strong, but that's the truth. You need to realize it. On these construction sites, we're seeing way too many people letting unsafe conditions exist when it's just not necessary. Now there's some jurisdictions in this country that don't even inspect temporary power poles. Usually they leave it up to a local utility, and some of them don't even look at it. They just hook it up. All they want to do is get that cash register in there and start selling power. But if you are in a jurisdiction where you go out and you do inspections of temporary power, you need to take it serious. Now, a couple of things I want to discuss right off the bat. First of all, the residential code does not even cover temporary power. It does send you to NFPA 70, and that's the code section you see on your screen right now. I'm going to have a link for you to both the IRC and the National Electric Code, and a link to OSHA's papers, a couple of them, on temporary power and construction deaths and injuries. But we need to take temporary construction power serious. A lot of times on these residential sites, they've got a T-pole out there. That's what I call it. Some say saw pole. But they have a pole out there that's been thrown around from job site to job site, and it's all beat up. You can look at these pictures I got, and these are my photographs. I mean, no proper connections. We don't even have the conductors properly secured. We don't have everything buried correctly, and half the time there's not even a proper grounding and bonding system associated with this, on top of all the other hazards that are going on a residential construction site. So let's look at the code. Again, the IRC is going to send us to the National Electric Code. We're going to look at NEC 590. But let's look at some of the basics. You got to remember something. Temporary power, for all practical reasons, has to be installed in the same manner as you do everything else in chapters 1 through 4. That means it's got to be installed in a neat and workmanlike manner. The integrity of the equipment's got to be maintained. Unused openings are prohibited. You got to have proper signage. There's got to be GFCI requirements. The proper grounding has to occur. All these things have to be done. Underground conductors have to be buried in compliance with the code. They don't make exceptions because it's temporary power. Now, temporary power, again, will get somebody hurt, so it needs to be looked at and given respect. There are inspectors out there, and I know them, that do what I call drive-by inspections. They just go by, and if they see a temporary power and if the pole's there, they just sign off on it. They don't even get out of the truck and look half the time. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. Now, this is from an OSHA website, and I'm going to have a link in the description. But I want to hit on a couple of things. You know, OSHA lists some of the major electrical hazards on construction sites, and most of these, if anybody's been doing construction at all, they know all this stuff. Improper grounding of wires, electrical equipment, poorly insulated wires, damaged insulation, faulty equipment and tools, overhead power lines, exposed electrical parts, overloaded circuits, inadequate wiring, wet locations. A lot of times they got these extension cords that don't even have the ground prong on them anymore. And they'll take some young kid out there that doesn't know anything, and they'll run him out there in the rain if it has to be, and plug it into a power pole, not securing anything off. Most of these temporary power poles have two 20-amp breakers. They got probably a quad with luckily they got GFCI on the receptacle out there. And it's a shame. It's a shame that nobody's watching this any closer than what they are. Again, from the OSHA website, we're going to see it's estimated that there are more than 1,000 electrocution deaths per year in the U.S., and most of these are on construction sites. Now, there's a lot of other electrocution deaths, but again, a lot of injuries occur on construction sites, and a lot of it's needless. A lot of it's stuff like somebody will pick up a skill saw doing a roofing project and be up on a ladder, and they'll get a shock, and then it'll knock them off the ladder. Nobody even realizes that's an electrical issue, but it's the fall from the ladder, right? But a lot of the problems come from inadequate grounding and not having tools in good condition. So it's everyone's responsibility to watch out for this, and everybody seems to be just pushing it down to somebody else, don't they? So my final thought on this is, for inspectors, I'm going to tell you this. Go back to the very beginning of your code book, the very beginning of your training. You're going to see that the purpose of the code is to protect the public health, safety, and welfare by regulating construction. It doesn't get any more plain than that. So let's do our jobs. for contractors. Take care of your people, take care of your equipment. Now, I like the little funny sign that you see here on this screen, and it was sent for somebody through Facebook. I don't even know who gets credit for it, but it's true. It says not only will this kill you, but it's going to hurt the whole time. So let's just be careful out there and be safe. Now, I hope you like this little video. I hope you share it with some other folks. Please like, subscribe, buy me a cup of coffee. We appreciate your support. You have a good day.